Well, hello, everybody. We welcome you to this edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Thera Martin Milling. Glad to be with you once again, and we are still enjoying what we consider the fresh new start to a new season here at LaSalle TV. You can check us out on Comcast Channel 56 and Verizon Fios Channel 36. Today on the program, we are shining the spotlight on a very special pastor here in the city of Philadelphia. We're talking about Reverend Dr. Damon Jones. He's the pastor of BibleWay Baptist Church. It's in West Philadelphia. He has a story to tell, and so stay along. We'll be back in a moment with the show. Well, hello again, everybody, and we thank you for joining us for this edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Thera Martin Milling, and today on the program, we've got Reverend Dr. Damon Jones with us. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes. Now, I'm trying to remember. I think the last time you came to my show, you were with some other pastors, and you all were getting the word out about revival.
We were having, I was moderator of the Pennsylvania Eastern Keystone Baptist Association, and we were about to have our annual session back then. So some of the other clergy came along with me.
That's what it was. Well, I'm glad to have you back again, and we have so much to talk about. Oh my goodness. Let's start with the unfortunate story about Hurricane Harvey, which hit Houston, Texas, and outlying areas over there on the other side of the United States. What, about 4 weeks ago or so it's been now? And it's been so many hurricanes and world weather events, earthquake happening, that it's almost hard to keep up with. It was Hurricane Harvey, then it was Hurricane Irma, then it was Hurricane Marie, and it was Hurricane, Jose, I think, came before Marie. I don't know. But your church and some other churches that partnered with your church decided to do something to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey. Tell us about that.
Well, the BibleWay Baptist Church is a mission-oriented church anyway from its inception. Our founder, Dr. McKinley Gaither, was heavily into foreign missions, but he was also really concerned about the community right around the church. So when BibleWay responds to any of these kinds of natural disasters or tragedies, whether they're foreign or domestic, it's a natural reaction for us. And so I'm grateful for the people of BibleWay who, every time I get up and say, hey, we need to do this, they respond in a great way. And so we collected a couple of $1,000s, and we were able to send that directly to a church on the ground in Houston that has a really large ministry in terms of people who are generally marginalized in that city. So there's a lot of people who are addicted to substances, a lot of people who are homeless and hungry, and that's what they do every day. So we decided to help them to rebuild what they were working on prior to the storms.
I applaud the effort that you all took, and you set a beginning date, you set an end date. You told us when the trucks went down. You had a website people could go to and look at the video footage of those who volunteered and worked on this effort, loading the trucks and to take it down to Texas. And then when you got there, there was video footage that said that too. And I think that's a kind of completion activity that sometimes is missing with some organizations. And that's why I'm hearing more and more people leaning away when they say American Red Cross, Give, or some of the other group names or organizations that are tried and true, but for whatever reason, people are like, nah, not this time. Well,
there's a concern that we get the needed resources to our people, not to the exclusion of anyone else, but the reality is that sometimes our people are excluded. And so we were really sensitive to that fact. What we did as the BibleWay Church was to partner again with the Pennsylvania Eastern Keystone Association. Moderator Ed Sherrill put together this phenomenal effort. He's the moderator that succeeded me. And so I continue to support the work that he does. And he put together that whole timeline, he and his cabinet, And they did such a phenomenal job that it made it easy for other churches to just participate in one effort, so that we weren't all doing something, individually or separately. But I mean, I think it was a great showing for all of these churches to come together under the banner of one association, one leader.
Like, can you tell me approximately how many churches it was? I don't want you to get into naming them because you may leave somebody out and somebody be upset with you.
I'm not sure exactly how many. I mean, I do know that, as you said, they set a specific time of when they wanted people to bring things, and the entire time, from what I'm told, people were just bringing things, from all different churches across the city. So I'm not sure exactly how many, but a lot of churches responded. And I thought I was excited about that fact, because it means that, contrary to what some people would say, that churches don't work together, and the reality is that we do work together.
Or contrary to what some people may say, oh, the churches aren't doing anything.
Or they're not doing anything. That's right.
And those people who say that, 9 times out of 10 are folks who don't even go to church. Okay?
Right.
So, be quiet. Be quiet. I'm very, very proud of that effort and what you all did. What kind of items, or what were you asking for people to do? I know this is in hindsight, but still.
Anything that we could think of that we thought they would need, but also because of our contacts in Houston, they were telling us what they needed. There's one organization that needed supplies from like a Home Depot. That would help in the rebuilding effort and even in some rescue efforts and things like that. But we generally tried to find things that might be hard to find in such a situation. Clothing that people would probably need, non-perishable food items. We were trying to find, stuff like trash bags and, just some household type things that people would need. There were a lot of baby needs in terms of Pampers and even Pampers for adults. And anything that we could think of, toiletry items, and people were just bringing things. We even had some people. There's a young lady I know of that donated some bikes, because now a lot of people's cars were now washed out. So, anything that we could think of in addition to what they were telling us they needed, we tried to send. School supplies was a big one, because they were trying to open the schools on time as best they could. But of course, the school supplies were limited.
Pastor, I have to tell you, a chill goes down my spine when I think about the what ifs. What if I had been living in Houston? Or what if a hurricane ever came to Philadelphia, where we live, or some other kind of weather catastrophe that left us with no lights, no energy, no electricity for a month or something like that? I mean, look at Puerto Rico. As we speak and tape this show, and we're taping this show on Monday, September the 25th, people in Puerto Rico who experienced the hurricane a week ago, we're hearing on the news it may be 30 days. It may be 30 days before they have power back fully restored across that big, great island, and the people are really suffering.
And I too think about what might have been had it hit the United States or hit our area, and hopefully what I hope it has done is helped us to prepare just in case. I mean, we were hit with a number of storms back to back. Had that happened here, many of us would have been as unprepared as they were there. So I'm hoping, we could look at that and learn and say, maybe there's some things we need to kind of prepare ourselves for just in case.
It's kind of like, before a snowstorm and the weather forecasters, it's so dramatic and they're telling you you're going to get all the snow and whatever. And sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. And when it's wrong, well, we all trash them. The weather people don't believe them anymore. And so then some of us stop preparing. And that's when the big one comes. And, so it's, I just don't even know how to live life anymore except with the power of prayer.
I told my congregation sermonically over the last couple of weeks, and I've kind of been on this theme. People are just worried. People are unsure, not very hopeful, so I've been trying to reassure them in sermons that, ultimately we can still pray. Ultimately God is still there. And things can happen, but we trust in Almighty God. And I don't know that we have a whole lot else to hold on to.
That's all I have.
You can't necessarily rely on the Red Cross. You can't rely on the Justice Department. You can't rely on the White House now. So we have to really get back to trusting God again.
Yes. Okay, before we run out of time, I know I want to touch on the good things that are happening at your church. BibleWay Baptist Church in West Philadelphia on 52nd Street at 1323?
North 52nd Street.
Oh, I got it right. Okay, so we know that you can preach you could preach your shoes off, because everybody says that. Anybody, when Dr. Damon's coming, oh my God. So I know about all that. And plus, I've seen you preach many times at Mount Carmel Baptist Church, the church that I worshiped at for over 34 years before moving to Solid Rock Baptist Church. Only for marriage.
Right.
But went there and have a great pastor at Solid Rock. But certainly, your church is a warm and loving church, a welcoming church, and you have a big event coming up in October, a homecoming?
Yeah, the fifth Sunday in October. I'm not sure. I think it's the 30th. We're going to have our first homecoming celebration. That afternoon, we'll have the regular 7:30 a.m. Worship, and then an 11 a.m. worship. I'll be preaching at both of those. And we just welcome people back who, at any point, had some history or some connection to BibleWay Baptist Church. And we just want to welcome them in and have a great celebration that day. The afternoon, we're going to have a concert with our choir, and we're inviting anyone who ever used to be a part of that choir to come back and sing in that choir. We had a music director who led our music department for 57 years. And dear lady, she moved to Florida. Her name is Alice Anderson, but we're going to bring her back so that she can, direct, and we're just looking for a great time and just to welcome people back.
Did she do all right through the storm?
She did. She was in an area that, as far as we know, was unaffected. Yeah, good, so she survived.
So then that is the fifth Sunday.
Fifth Sunday in October, which I believe is October 30th.
Okay, I know you're going to have it going on over at your church, and every Sunday. You do two services or one service?
We do two services every Sunday, 7:30 a.m. and 11 a.m. It gets a little tiresome, but but we've been doing it for quite a while now. So.
And I know what your other passion is outside of church and family, and of course God. Well, God, church, family.
Right.
I think I know your other passion. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Stay with us right here at News You Can Use.
Is a husband, father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't do dialysis, if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Then Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
Imagine what you could make possible. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Did you go tanning? Yeah, check it out. You're getting so tan. Finals are the worst. We need some sun. Where's your tan? It's melanoma. I'm stage 3.
Melanoma is the second most common cancer for young women, 15 to 29. Protect yourself. Protect your friends. Stop tanning. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
I see my friends out there getting waves and talking about them, and I know exactly what they're doing and what they're feeling and everything. It's like, it's hard. I was diagnosed when I was 57. It was a surprise to me when they told me I had MS. It's like, you sure?
Well, the idea is this is a 360-degree virtual reality camera rig. Steve hasn't been able to ride a wave in way too many years, so now I'm going to ride a wave and we get to share it with him. Well, we're going to do something.
Just put that on your head. Whoa. Oh, this is unreal. Coming up, coming up, coming up. Boom. Nice. Nice. This is fantastic.
Yeah, let me set it up and you get into
Set
the
it up.
ride.
Let's do that again.
Hello, everybody. We're back as we continue with this edition of News You Can Use, and this is really a special edition. We're so happy that we have Dr. Damon Jones with us. He's the pastor, the senior pastor over there at the BibleWay Baptist Church at 1323 North 52nd Street.
That's
and
correct.
we welcome you. We welcome you again.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. One of the things you talked about in the first segment was the fact that come the last weekend in October, we believe that date is Sunday, October the 30th,
Right.
You will have a homecoming celebration at your church.
Yes.
Two things happening, your services in the morning,
Yes.
and then afternoon, a concert for everybody to enjoy.
Right.
Come on out, everybody. Don't forget about that. Again, the address is 1323 North 52nd Street. The date is the last Sunday in the month of October. You can join the BibleWay Baptist Church family and help them to celebrate a homecoming. That means everybody who used to be a member coming on back. Is
Everybody
that what it
who
means?
used to be a member is welcome, and everybody else is welcome.
Yes.
So whoever wants
Okay,
to come and
sounds
be a
good.
part, we'll find space for you.
And he can preach, all right? So you want to come
I'm
on
gonna
over
try.
there. Yes, sir. Now, the other thing, your other passion is there's God, there's church, there's family. You do so much. But another one of your passions, I believe, as you've shared with me, is working with people who are incarcerated or
Yes.
were incarcerated in the past who may have some challenges trying to hit the ground running out
Right.
here on the street.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 51 years old now. You know, when I was 19 years old is when I started, and I actually started with juveniles. And it used to be at the old Philadelphia Youth Study Center over at, used to be on the Parkway, Ben Franklin Parkway, but now they're in West Philadelphia. But I started working there on a volunteer basis, just, you know, going in with a ministry and visiting the kids. And I was mentored by a man who's passed away now. His name is Reverend James Hazard. And he taught me so much about working with at-risk youth and how to connect with at-risk youth. And I just developed this heart and this, you know, burden and passion for these kids, many of which are homeless, not homeless, well, some are homeless, but mainly fatherless,
Yes.
no spiritual backing, poor educational track record, and there were so many things against them. And I just developed this burden for these kids, and it has not died down at all in all of those years. In fact, it's probably intensified. You know, so we have prison ministries at the church, where the church goes and ministers in the Philadelphia prison system. And I still go. I take a basketball team in every so often, and we play the juvenile inmates. So it's a really great ministry, because a lot of times these kids and the adults are forgotten once they're there.
Yes. Yeah,
So that's a pretty significant ministry for us.
In my background with working with women who are incarcerated for 13 years here in the city of Philadelphia, working with women first just from the city prisons, but then all of a sudden we got state inmates and we got federal inmates. And I mean, I learned a lot over that 13-year experience, and I'm not an expert of everything. I was in there working with teaching life skills and job readiness. And thanks to people like Jeff Brown from the ShopRite stores, of which he has like 10 locations, and some others who stepped up to the plate and were willing to hire not just my women, my ladies who I was working with at the Phoenix Training Center, but also I always hear the stories of Jeff Brown helping men as well. I work with women while incarcerated, but I'm also working with them on the last leg. Like most of them should not have been there for more than 12 months.
Right.
Some of them down to 6 months, 9 months. And,
Yeah.
but you know, one of the things that the ladies would often tell me, Miss Martin, the system is built for us to fail. They want us to keep coming back because a lot of people make money off of us being incarcerated.
True.
And I never denied that.
Right.
But as I got deeper into being there with them and teaching this life skills, job readiness thing, I saw more and more how true it really is. Because in 13 years of being at the facility where I was, there was a promise of computer training.
Never happened. Right.
Never. In 13 years, are you kidding me?
Right.
And it's so crazy because I had people on the outside who own computer businesses and or who were instructors for computer training and what have you, who would say to me, Thera, tell them we'll do it for free. We just want to help. We'll volunteer our time on a Saturday or whatever day they tell us. We'll fit it into our schedule. No charge. Not looking for a contract. Not looking for money. I wasn't allowed to bring them in. And at one point, State Senator Shirley Kitchen had purchased with state money 30 computers that were in boxes. And for over a year and a half, every time I would come into the prison, the first place my eyes would look after getting past the corrections officers was over to this wall where all of these computers were stacked. Well, when they moved the women from the Cambria Community Center, the 3 Cs, the ladies were moved up to Riverside, and everything was supposed to go with them. Well, everything should have been the computers too. We never saw the computers again.
Wow.
And nobody knew what happened to the computers. So I've seen some things. I've seen some things. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, we don't do well with our inmates. There are a number of initiatives and programs. I'm a board member for the Philadelphia Prison System, so there are a number of programs and initiatives that they have. But I think nationally we don't do as well, you know, with our inmates, whether on the local level or on the Commonwealth level, or sometimes even federal level. We just don't do a great job at it. And I think churches that can do what they can.
I know,
and individuals who go in and offer, as you've done.
Yeah, when Leon King was still the head of the commissioner of Philadelphia Prisons, and I hadn't been working as a life skills instructor that long at the 2900 block of North 17th Street, that's 17th and Cambria, heart of North Philadelphia. And Senator Shirley Kitchen, giving you all credit, Senator, she put me there. But anyway, so Leon King was the top person in charge, and one of my classes I went to, and my women said to me, and I had like 70 students in a class, which was a lot of students to have at one time. But one of my women said, you know, we got a problem here. You know, we are only getting 5 sanitary napkins for our cycle. And it didn't, I'm slow sometimes.
Right.
So it didn't quite sink in at first. I said, five sanitary napkins? You mean a day? You know, I'm thinking, she said, no, for our whole cycle. I said, what? I couldn't get out of the prison fast enough that night so I could go and tell Senator Kitchen, can you get that fixed, Senator? Well, the very next day, Leon King called me. He said, Thera, I know you're the one who told. I said, yes. I mean, I couldn't deny it. I said, yes, I told. And he said, that problem's been taken care of. I didn't realize that was happening. So, you know.
They need us. I mean, they need people from the outside to hear what they have to say and do as much as we can and advocate for them. And I've been doing that for years, trying to, you know, our church provides some things for our juveniles at PIC now because the system just doesn't provide all of the things that they need.
Now, and when you say a juveniles at PIC, that they're not the youth study center. They're at PIC. That means they face some adult charges, even though they may be 16 or 15 or 17.
Yes, these children are they're referred to now as direct file children. They're charged as adults because they've committed adult crimes, and they're going to be they're not going to family court. They're going to the criminal justice center. And they will be sentenced like adults. I mean, I've gone to court over the last couple of days with some kids, and these juveniles, 16, 17 years old, 15 years old, are getting 30 years, 40 years.
Crime doesn't pay.
It does not pay. It does not pay at all.
Who wants to be caged up?
Yeah.
My Lord, I wish that people,
and as a
not just
teenager,
juveniles,
to be facing that kind of time.
Think about your actions before you act.
Right. And that's what we try to tell them. When we go in, you know, we spend a lot of time, you know, talking about, you know, what things will be like going forward if you continue this path, the places that you're going to end up going to, the different types of people you're going to end up interacting with, and it just doesn't pay.
Wow. Amazing. We're talking with Dr. Damon Jones, Reverend Dr. Damon Jones. He is the senior pastor over there at the BibleWay Baptist Church in West Philadelphia. That's 1323 North 52nd Street. And I guess one of my reasons for having interest in you and your church over the years is because of the visits that I've seen where you've preached at some different churches where I happen to be on the day of your preaching, and I know the kind of preacher, teacher that you are, and your church has such a great reputation, and I'm honored to have you here. But the last thing we want to get to before we really run out of time is this whole, the strange, crazy, dangerous times we're living in. And you were sharing with me before we even started taping today that your church is one of those progressive, highly intelligent, smart churches that is doing some special training for just in case some not good people walk into your church one day.
Right. It's a difficult season right now for church and for anywhere, any public place, because nationally you have terrorism, but you also have, you know, local terrorism.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I feel like we should be prepared for any eventuality, anything that could possibly happen, anything that we see in the news. We should probably assume that somebody's going to try to copy that and do it and possibly target where we are.
Yes.
We pray that it doesn't happen. We hope that it doesn't happen, but it could happen. And so we had an active shooter training at the church recently, and had our people trained to know what to do if by chance somebody enters the building with a gun and begins shooting. How do we protect our children? How do we protect ourselves? And thankfully, and I deeply appreciate the Philadelphia Police Department, because they came out and trained us and gave us, had videos and scenarios, and helped us think about this in a way that was much more comprehensive than we had previously thought about it, and gave us some things that we just never would have thought of on our own. So Commissioner Ross and the Philadelphia Police Department, they did a great job, helping us with that. But it's the reality. You never know who's going to wander in with a gun, a knife. There are a lot of people with mental illnesses that wander in, and we pray constantly for them, because they're in a situation as well that is not always of their making. But at the end of the day, as pastors, we have to do our very best to protect the people who are coming to worship. Yes, indeed. Because it could happen. You just never know.
In 30 seconds, you got to tell us real quick. You've got an attorney at law that is a member of your church and that is working out of your church, offering their legal services, and you have a first lady wife who is a licensed therapist, mental health expert, who's also working out of your church, offering services not just to church members, but to people from anywhere in the city, looking for somebody to come and talk to you to help you get through something.
Right. Well, we have another building on the grounds, and the purpose of that building, the reason we bought that building is because we wanted it to be a community center. We wanted to have businesses in that building that the neighborhood, whether you're from the church or whether you're just from the community, you could walk in. So the first 2 businesses are now up and running, and the first one to get started was Browning Legal Services. That's Attorney Dion Browning. So he has an office there. They're there every day from, I believe, 9 to 5 or thereabout. And the second one is my wife, Dr. Melissa Jones, and she's a family therapist. So she has a counseling practice. Her office is in that building. So you could call BibleWay Baptist Church at 215-477-0778, and they can connect you to those services if necessary.
Website, real quick.
BibleWayBaptistChurch.org.
All right.
And BibleWay Baptist Church is one word and then .org.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you so much.
All
appreciate
right,
it.
now I appreciate you being here with me on this edition of News You Can Use, and you can check me out Mondays through Fridays on 900 AM and 96.1 FM, WURD. We do a program 6 to 7 AM. It's called Daybreak on Word. Have a lot of fun with that show. You can call in at 215-634-8065 and talk to me, all right? So you want to stay right here at this dial, Comcast 56, or if you're watching on Verizon Fios channel 36, and keep on watching all the great programs coming to you, specifically the ones from LaSalle TV. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.